This is the Brett Snodgrass podcast. I am the one and only Brett Snodgrass. So if anybody is trying to imitate me, then get out of here because I'm the one and only. Thank you guys so much for joining the show today. If you guys haven't already, go over to the Brett Snodgrass YouTube channel and subscribe. Also, ring that bell, guys, because each and every week we're coming out with fabulous videos. We got the podcast videos, and then fourth quarter 2021, we are launching some new types of videos. You guys are going to want to stay tuned, so subscribe to the channel. And today I have some very special guests for you. I got Chris and Ashton Levarek. Chris is out of Arizona. Ashton is out of Oregon. And these two are brothers. I'm going to tell you guys, they're military kids, but for the last 3 years, they've been building up a real estate investment business, and they have scaled it, 3 years to 600 plus units, y'all, with their business. You guys are going to want to hear how they've scaled it, how they work in a business as a family, because their wives work in their business as well. You got two brothers, two wives, crazy family business, and you guys are going to want to hear it all. In the last section of the show, stay tuned because it is called Bros Before Business. So let's get to it. Christian and Ashton, what's going on, guys?
How much? Thanks for having us.
Yeah, good to be here.
Yeah, man. I'm looking forward to this because you guys are brothers, right? And I've had some guests on the podcast, husband and wife running businesses together. I've had sometimes dad and son, but I haven't had very many brothers running a business together. So this is going to be really, really cool. Really, really interested in that. And you guys are real estate investors. You're with the Valkere Investment Group and looking for passive investors. You guys do syndication deals, apartment buildings, and multiple big deals, right? I do mostly single family deals. You guys are like doing a lot bigger stuff than I am, but it's amazing what you guys are doing. And today we're going to talk a little bit about your business. We're going to talk about your family dynamic, which is really, really important because a lot of people are thinking, I wonder who I can trust. And we immediately think of family. So we're going to talk about that. But I always like to start off with a question. This is always like a deep question. I'll start off with Chris. So Chris, who is Chris Leverick?
So who am I? Been a lot of things. I did a lot of traveling when I was younger. I've been in the military. I'm now an IT engineer, and that's been my role for probably 11 years as a W-2 job. Got into real estate, started a business. That's kind of like the work side of it. But I have a wife. I have a 3-year-old, like a baby on the way. Big into guitar and big into doing outdoor stuff. And that's, that's me.
That's awesome. Well, congrats on the new baby. You're
Thank
going
you.
to be busy. And what's your favorite song to play on the guitar?
Oh yeah. Let's see. I like a lot of Zach Brown Band. If you've heard of them, kind of like a country bluegrass.
Yeah.
But yeah, any of the Jason Mraz and the, Tom Petty and Creedence Clearwater Revival, they're all easy and fun to play. So
yeah, I like all of them. That's awesome. Sounds good. I went to a Tom Petty concert about 6, 7, or 8 years ago when he was still around. It was longer than that, actually. Time always flies so fast. Probably 12 years ago. But anyways. Well,
is he dead?
He is. Yeah, he did die.
Oh my God. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
Yep. He was amazing. He was Indiana. I'm from Indiana. So he always talked about Indiana sometimes in his songs. So sounds good. Well, thanks, Chris, for being on the podcast. Welcome to Brett Snodgrass podcast. And Ashton, same question, man. Who is Ashton Leverick?
Yeah, that is a deep question, man. You'd start that out pretty good. So I like that question a lot because that question, I think, holds true to a lot of, that's one of those questions that you really got to think about. So all the things I do and what I've done and what I like to do, I guess they don't really make me who I am, but that's how we describe ourselves, right? Yeah. Ashton Levarek, I joined the military right out of high school. I'm huge into travel and I wanted to do the craziest, most dangerous stuff I could ever think of. And I wanted to have fun doing it. So initially, before the war started, I was a rescue swimmer for the Coast Guard. And I should say I wanted other people to pay for my adventures. And so that's why I joined the military. I was in the Coast Guard, did 6 years as a rescue swimmer. And then when the war kicked off, I, looked into that and I went pararescue. So I did pararescue jumper for the Air Force and got to travel all over the world and 10 combat deployments, sniper, combat diver, all that stuff. Got to had a great time. And then about 3 years ago, 2018, Chris and I have always been really close. We started investing in real estate together, and we decided to make a business out of it. And that's kind of launched us into what we're doing today. And I'm retired from the military now. I have 2 children, 2 little girls. I'm married, live in Oregon, still chasing those adventures, snowboarding, surfing, all that stuff. But then how do you fund it, right? So the real estate investing was the part for me, that passive income, building up that passive income, that cash flow, so that I can be on the beach in Bali somewhere and still, manage my business online or make money online passively. So I don't know. That's what I do. Who am I? I think that's something we're all exploring, right?
That is a deep question to start off the show. I always like just to get to know you guys a little bit. You guys both come from the military, sounds like. Was that something that your family had in their blood, or was that just something that you two did?
A lot of military on our family, both our father, and then our mom's side, a bunch of the men and a couple of the women actually were in the military. A lot of pilots actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, sounds good. Well, thanks again, Ashton, for being on the show. You like adventure. I think entrepreneurs, we all like adventure. You're probably a little bit more extreme than I am, but that's awesome, man. And so Christian, Ashton, let's just talk about your business a little bit. So you guys started a real estate investment company a few years ago, and it's kind of evolved into more of syndications, but I don't think it started off that way. So Chris, tell us about your journey with real estate.
Definitely. Yeah. I actually didn't want to start building a business necessarily from the start. It really was, we're trying to get passive income. We're trying to get an investment that it beats out a 401k or is more, not only beats out the returns, but has tax benefits and you can actually control it and see what it's doing. That was the initial kind of jumping into it, was trying to get something better. And then all of a sudden, as you start doing this, you start making partnerships and bringing in different partners, and you got to make a business and structure it to make sure that's all working correctly. And that's how it started. We got into duplexes initially. So small 2-unit duplex. We bought 2 of them, was our first purchase in North Carolina, Durham, North Carolina. And, we partnered with a private lender on that. So our first deal had partner. Every deal we've done, we've had partners in some capacity. So from there, we just scaled up. We started doing these duplexes over and over until we got to a 5-unit. And then we got a 13 and we got a 16-unit. 16-unit was our first syndication. Syndication just means partnerships too. It's just at a bigger level. So we were able to, buy $1 million property. And that was within, a year.
Wow.
Of having business.
That's scaled up fast, scaled up big, starting off with a duplex, which is awesome. I mean, a lot of people don't own a duplex, but starting off with that small. And then I think you guys have bought over 100 unit properties now, right?
Right. Yeah. The largest being 384 units at this point.
Wow. That is crazy. So how many, so Ashton, you just take this one. How many units do you guys own now with your partnerships?
I think 700.
It's 600 plus. Yeah.
Yeah. 600 plus. Yeah.
Wow.
We have our personal portfolio. So we have about 40 something units, I think, rentals in our personal portfolio. And we're about to add actually one more. And then we have in the syndications, close to 580 or so, I think.
Wow.
Maybe more.
And this
I don't know. I should put those numbers down.
No, it's good. And this has just happened within the last 3 years. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
last
that's correct.
3 years, 600 plus units. So 3 years ago, plus, you guys didn't have any rental properties at all. And then now 3 years later, you guys have over 600. So you have scaled extremely fast. So Ashton, why don't you just tell us like how's your life kind of changed? I mean, from 3 years ago, you're probably thinking a lot differently now, and talk to us about that.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think the immediate answer is people want to hear is like, oh yeah, you're living a life of luxury and passive income and this and that. But as with any job, when you're starting that business, that's when you're the busiest, right? It's kind of like that analogy. And I heard it somewhere. It's like when a plane's taking off, you're putting out the most energy as it's trying to get off the ground. And that's what we've been doing. And so How's our life changed? Well, I mean, a lot of our free time is spent putting back into the business.
Yeah.
You can imagine, I mean, we bring in, I don't know, 25 to 50 investors on these larger deals. And that's a lot of different people you have to talk to. You have to make sure paperwork's signed. You have to, legally get all the legal documents done. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. And that's just so the last 3 years, yeah, we've scaled, but it's because we built the platform to sustain that scalability. I think you think about it on the same level as just a single family home, a single family rental. Like, you have to do all that stuff, but if you could outsource a lot of that, it would make it a lot easier. Right. And so that's what a large part of our business has been figuring out who to partner with, figuring out who to hire, and how to make it easier. Right.
Mm-hmm.
What would our business look like if it was extremely fun, if it was easy, if it was something we enjoyed doing? Right. So
yeah,
Chris and I both have W-2 jobs still. Or actually I don't. I do some contracting on the side, but that's because we put everything we do back into the business. But I think by the end of next year, we'll be at that answer that everybody wants to hear, right? Like, quit your job. We travel quite a bit, actually. We did a Hawaii trip this year. We're going to do another RV trip here in a bit. But the reality is, like, if you're trying to make it a business, like, it's not a one-time thing. You do have to put a lot of energy into it, especially in the beginning.
Yeah.
So,
but it sounds like you guys are vision leaders, which is, you're always looking out, like you said, even a year down the road, and you're like, okay, how do we make this fun? How do we make this the business that we want? And then you just start to piece it together. And it does take a lot of work. I mean, even hiring and outsourcing, you got to find the right person and train them and onboard them. And then, but eventually, yeah, you can have that freedom business that we all desire. Chris, let's just talk about you. So you have a W-2 job still, is that right?
Correct. Yep.
So what's it like? I mean, I'm always interested, because obviously the sexy answer, people quit their job, they're doing this full time, they're doing whatever they want, traveling the world, but you have your job, and you're doing this on the side. So talk to us about, what is that like? Because there's probably a lot of listeners that are in your exact same shoes.
Right. Yeah. It's it's you don't just quit. I wouldn't recommend people just quit if you're starting a business, quit your main source of income. So you really want to have multiple streams of income. The wealthy do that. They create multiple streams. So don't quit one just to go all in on something you might not have income at. Some people do it with success. I think the stress would probably, cripple me if I'd killed or tried to do it 3 years ago. Build something that can sustain you and then move on. But managing both, I mean, it's really getting good at managing your day and managing your week. You write down, what your schedule's going to look like. What do you want to achieve that week on a Sunday? But then you analyze, every day, okay, I need to write a blog. I need to talk to a lawyer, and I need to put an offer on a property. So then you time block that, put that somewhere in your calendar on your week, and you let both sides know. I'm managing 2 calendars constantly. So I let my W-2 calendar know what my real estate calendar is doing, and vice versa. And it's work. If I forget to do that, chances are there's overlap somewhere, and someone gets angry, So yeah.
I love that, though, because it's like you take your Sundays, you write out what you're going to be doing, and you just take those small steps. It's always those small wins. It's like, okay, I gotta, like we're always looking at the big mountain. We want to be at the top of the mountain, but it's like we got to look just 5 feet in front of us, figure out what are we doing today to keep moving, and we just keep moving. Eventually, a few years down the road, you got 600 units. 4 or 5 years down the road, you got 1,000 plus units, and here you are. So that's just awesome.
We do it in our business too. I mean, we're a big fan of the book Traction. And so part of it is setting 90-day goals, 90-day sprints. And so we'll break those down into dates and weeks. But typically for the company, we have a vision, a year plan. We break that down to 90-day goals. And that's really how you just work it back. So,
yeah. Definitely. And our audience, listeners out there, please get the book Traction. It's been revolutionary for my life, for my business. I use it in my business. I use it in my personal life as well, in a sort of way. And it's what Chris is talking about, EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System. And it just helps you run your business as a business. And that was one of the biggest mistakes that I ever did. I think the first 6 or 7 years, I learned how to do real estate. I learned how to flip deals. I learned what all that was, but I never learned how to run a business. And I think that's why you guys have scaled so fast. When I read that book, or Scaling Up is another book I read, that's when it all just kind of launched. And I wish I would have read it my first year. So would you guys recommend that?
Definitely. Oh, definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Anything else just about your business that you want to, share for our listeners before we go to kind of about your family, about brotherhood, all that?
I think another great book is The E-Myth, or the 4-Hour Work Week. But the general premise is, this was a big one for us, was at the beginning, we were doing everything. Don't try to do everything. Do what you're good at, what you enjoy, and then try to outsource for the rest or partner for the rest. And that's why we've been able to scale.
Yeah.
I want you to think like, if I went to a broker 2 years ago and said, hey, I'm looking for a 300 unit property, they'd probably laugh at us like, hey, look, you have no proven track record. You're not working with anybody. They probably did. Maybe not to my face, but you know what I mean? Yeah. Like after they got off the phone. So like, I think that's really important. If you want to scale, if you want to be successful, I think you need to reach out to people that are professionals in that field, whatever that field is. And for us, that was real estate agents, brokers, and then of course, other people that have done bigger deals, other people that have done multiple deals. We reached into those groups of people that were doing what we wanted to do. And we started making those connections and partnering with those people, learning from those people, hiring them, whatever. So that's the other thing I would say. Absolutely start with the end in mind, read the book Traction, have that vision and work backwards from that vision, but then try and find other people that can help you. Right.
Yeah. And I just want to ask you this. So you're talking about E-Myth, you're talking about Traction, you're talking about building systems, scaling a business. And it sounds like you guys both desire more of a lifestyle business. I mean, you want to do adventures, you want to travel, and you want that passive income. So you don't have to always be grinding it out. And you want that lifestyle business. And a lot of messages out there right now, especially if you watch social media, and some really big names are talking about you need to grind it out. You need to work 80 hours a week, and you need to do that. So what's your guys' thoughts on that? Because that's the message a lot of people are hearing.
That's because they want to hire you.
That's what you want your team to do.
Yeah, they're saying that. Yeah. They're saying that because they want you to come work for them and then grind it out for low minimum wage or whatever. No, I think, there is a truth to it. So yes, we are grinding it out. I mean, I get up at 4:30 every morning. I think Chris does much the same. We're big proponents of that early rise, get the most important work done. So there is some grind to it, but here's the thing. It's only a grind if it's not your passion, right? And your passion revolves around, what do you want? What do you really want out of life, right? Do you want to work for the rest of your life in your job? Then maybe you do that, enjoy that. You shouldn't be struggling. You got one life to live. Why are you out there grinding and dying and killing yourself year over year just so you can be happy in the future sometime? Be happy now. And I'm on a soapbox, I know, but the reality is, like, do what you're passionate about. And to find that passion, you got to get clear about what you want. What do you really want out of life? Right.
Yeah. Chris, any thoughts? I like that, Ashton.
Yeah. I'm a fan of Grant Cardone, and I've read some of his books. Sometimes I listen to them to get a little more motivation, if I'm having a down day. But yeah, he's one of those guys that says, grind it out and work endless days. And I kind of disagree with that as well. You only get this one life, and make sure you enjoy your day, your week. Don't just live for the weekend. Don't just, think you're going to get it when you're 40 because you worked your butt off in your 30s. And you still take time to enjoy your family and make sure you got the right priorities. It's not just about becoming a mega millionaire. There are things in life that are worth enjoying, and the journey should be the joy, really. Once you get to the destination, you might have missed a lot of stuff along the way. So
Yeah, and I love talking to guys with young kids. You guys both have young kids. Chris, I think you got 3-year-old, one on the way. Ashton, you got a couple little girls, married, both of you guys, and I see that happen a lot. And let's just transition to family now. See that happen a lot. That one time I was with an entrepreneur, and they said, "I want to work as hard as I can now, grind it out, work 80 hours a week, so then when my kids are teens, then I'll be able to hang out with them." And I always say, like, they're not going to want to hang out with you when they're teens, especially if you're not there around in the early years.
Yeah.
That's the truth. Yeah.
But I see a lot of people miss that, and they come back to regret those years when their kids were growing up. So let's just kind of transition to family. You guys are brothers, and your wives also work in your business, which is very unique and unusual. So I used to work with my dad, and we did our real estate business for about 6 or 7 years, and it was really, really cool. But some people are probably thinking, should I work with my family? Because they think I want to work with someone I can trust. So they choose, well, maybe I obviously can trust my family most of the time, hopefully. Let's just talk about that. You guys are brothers. Why did you guys choose to work together in this business instead of doing it on your own? Let's go with Chris.
Yeah, I'll speak because dog's going off on Ashton. So why did we choose to work together? It's interesting. I'm probably more the detailed oriented and kind of conservative mindset, and Ashton's more of the run out the door mindset and just go after it. And I think that part of it was the attraction why we started working together was, I was taking a while to make a decision and he was ready to go. And there was kind of like a synergy there where both parties benefit from each other's strengths and weaknesses. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if we've always had a decent relationship, a good relationship throughout our life, me and Ashton. He's 4 years older. And I think we've never had cause to like mistrust each other. It's always been that brother trust no matter what. Sure, we get angry with each other and sure things bug us about each other, but there's never been something where, I would not trust Ashton with my family or my money or whatever. We've always had that relationship. I think that's where that strong, framework started. So going into business together, it wasn't that much of a issue. We kind of didn't see a problem with it, and sure, we've ran into bumps along the way, but it's always been that strong framework. I think that's held us together in the business.
Yeah, definitely. Ashton, what about you? I mean, did you always want to work with your family, or was just kind of just an idea that it just happened? Like, what's been your experience working with family?
Well, it's we come from our father was an entrepreneur, and him and our mom worked together, and they were hustling, and they built a business on their own. And we even helped out as kids a bit. But so there's definitely comes a comfort there, right? Because you've seen it happen. But also there was a lot of reservations because, they struggled a bit. I mean, it was tough running a business out of the house or running a business with family because those emotions can run high. But I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who you work with, but if you guys are on the same page of where you're going, that's what matters. Because, if you guys both know where you're going, or everybody that's a huge part of the book Traction. I hate to keep plugging it, but that's the reality is like, you have to be on the same page and you have to be working with people that complement your weaknesses and your strengths. Like Chris said, him and I are complete opposites, and we didn't actually really discover that until much later in life. Like I'm 41, Chris, he's 4 years younger. So when we started the business, we thought we were very much alike, but then you start to realize like, I hate analyzing properties. I hated it, but I did it because I thought we had to do it. I thought I had to get good at it. And that's kind of one of those things they tell you in life. You just got to go. You may hate it, but you got to get good at it, whatever business you're in. But Chris was a lot better at that. He's a lot better at putting together the systems and the processes. And I was a lot better at, looking at the vision and taking action and figuring it out on the way. But what helped us there was we did a personality test, which sounds kind of corny, but we used the DISC profile from Tony Robbins. Mm-hmm. And then you start to see, oh man, we're complete opposites, and he relates to things or looks at things different than I do because of this, and this. And I think when you're putting a business together or finding partners, that's what you need to look for.
Yeah.
is like, people get it. Like, oh, I need money. I need to go find investors. Yeah, you get that. But for some reason they don't get it. Like, oh, I'm not very good at systems. I need to go find somebody that's better at putting the systems together to make all this automated, so I don't have to do every single detail in the business or something like that, or vice versa. Like, I'm more risk averse. I need to find somebody that helps me take action,
Yeah, definitely. I just want to plug too, just the profiles, the personality profiles, I think are huge. We definitely have been using those in our business. And I think every business, if they're high profile, at least uses some sort of personality profile. You mentioned the DISC profile. Tony Robbins has that on his website. So check out the DISC profile, guys. There's some other ones out there. There's the PI profile that I like this other one. It's more of a personal thing for me, but it's the Enneagram. I've taken that test. So anyways, take those, guys, figure out who you are, number one. That really was just an awakening moment for me when I was like, oh my gosh, this like pinpointed me. I was like, this is who I am. So then all the detail stuff, like all the detail stuff for me, I'm a visionary. So the details is like super low, and it like just completely drained me. And I always wondered why, right? So let's just take looking for money, for example, looking for private lenders. I was the one that was pretty good at talking to people, building those relationships, getting them in the door, but I didn't like all the paperwork involved, filling out the contracts and the notes and all that stuff. So I had someone else do that. That's just an example, right?
Yeah.
So love that. So check those out, guys, personality profiles. And your spouse is also working your business, which again, this is like the complications is just growing. So Chris, talk to us about that. Your spouse came in. How do you keep that?
So I think they came in after we did a couple duplexes and both, my wife used to work for a big hotel chain. She was a HR director, so she was really up there. And when we had our first kid, she decided to take a step back, and then she started getting more involved in our business. And she does a lot of the accounting, the legal, the finance, and now she's running a short-term rental strategy we just put into play. And their confidence has grown dramatically as they've been in the business. When it started, it was definitely a lot of reservations on both sides. And, it is tough, I think, to separate your relationship and business. And especially if in a relationship, we typically like to think we're 50-50, right? That, we're 50-50 in the relationship. Well, in business, if you're the manager, or if you even know a lot more of the business than your partner who's coming in, that 50-50 gets skewed a little. And sometimes it can be hard to separate emotion from, I'm not telling you what to do. I am telling you what to do because it's the business. Yeah. And, how do you make that, softer? We've had to work through those things, but honestly, they run the business. They do all the operations. Mm-hmm. We've been able to kind of take a high level view. I kind of keep all the pieces together, but I mean, we could step back and our wives would literally run this business. So
that's cool. Ashton, any feedback? Because your wife also too works with you.
Yep. Yeah. So I think it's going to go back to that clarity, right? And we did a whole process map, I think is what it's called, right, Chris? Mm-hmm. With roles and responsibilities within the business. And when you have company map. Yeah. When you have that outlined, it makes it so much easier. Who's analyzing the deal, who's bringing in the investors, who's talking to the investors, who's onboarding our passive investors, who is writing the blog, who is working on the SEO side, who is all these little things, right? And we have a spider chart, like, visionary, integrator, and then all the roles underneath of those, sales to accounting, all that stuff. And I think there's an awesome quote, and I love this quote, and this reflects the leadership style that I want to implement in everything I do, is General Patton said it. He said, don't tell people how to do it, tell them what to do, and be surprised by what they do. I think it is something of that nature, right? Right. Let them have ownership, right? And that's what our wives have done. And it's been, you want to ask if it's hard, like it's been hard on us because we had to give that up. You know what I mean? Like, oh, that's the way she wants to do it. Good, do it. Yeah. And now they're managing the rehabs of the property. They're managing the finances. They manage the budget. They told me and Chris, the managers, the owner managers of this, you guys only have this much money to go walk properties this year.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And you're like, oh, well, okay. And Chris and I both like to buy training too. So we buy books, we buy join masterminds, we buy, we're on masterclass, all this different stuff, because we're always trying to learn, grow, expand. Yeah. And then she came back like, well, if you want to do that, you're going to have to cut out some of this. And you're like, what are you talking about?
I want to do whatever I want.
Yeah. But the reality is you do have to let people own it. You have to give them that ownership.
Yeah. That's cool. I love that. And you guys are obviously successful running a family business. That's amazing. Wish you guys so much success, and your wives in the business. And before we go in the last section of the show, I just got a couple more questions here. So Ashton, you talked about your retired Air Force special. You did some pararescue jumping, sniping, combat diving, spent many years in the Air Force. And so I always like to just ask this question, like, what did you learn from the Air Force that you are implementing into your business?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's so much, because it was my whole life, for a while. So, mission planning and mission success are two different things, but they go hand in hand. So mission planning, we always start with the end in mind. And when you put it like that, people get it. If I were to tell you how to, plan for this hostage rescue, or plan for this rehab and successful renting of this property, like that's what you're doing. You're looking at the problem and you're like, this is the outcome that I want. And then you're backwards planning from there. And that was a huge part of the military. They call it backwards planning in the military. You're planning from the target out. So that was a huge one. And then the other one is putting together teams and managing teams. And that's been a huge part of our business. I mean, like Chris said, everything we've done has had partners involved. And then of course, our immediate partners, our family members. So being a good leader means being a good team member. And I've been lucky enough to have been on some amazing teams in the military, and I learned a lot from that, both as a subordinate and as a team leader. So,
yeah, and it always just comes back to, if you want to scale a business, it's really about the people. I mean, you got the processes and you got the training and things like that, but it's really about managing people and figuring out how to do that, which is really difficult because people are messy.
Yeah.
Chris, what about you? I know you were in the military too, but talk to us about just one thing that you learn and you're learning every single day in the business, and give us one last tip for the audience.
Oh, yeah. For me, definitely, it's the people. It's learning to be better leader, a better speaker, to listen. To be honest, my character, I'm definitely more comfortable with the tech and with the details and being behind the scenes. And, I have calls with investors, and I have calls I'm on our meetings, our weekly meetings we do with the company. And that's been a big part for me, is really trying to improve how I talk to people and how I listen to those people. And it's not just, turning on a switch like you would for some kind of electronic thing and I'll do what you say. You have to really listen to people. You have to talk to people. Mm-hmm. And that's been a big piece. Something I've been learning a lot because it hasn't been that big part of my life before now. So very valuable.
I like what you said, like listening to people, because sometimes when we're like CEOs or visionaries or the managers, right, we're like, you need to do it because I said so. Right.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
But just listening to them, because they're also on the front line, just like in the military. It's just like, if you're leading these people, but like there's a problem and they see the problem, like, yes, I hear what you're saying, but this is a problem, and I don't, we need to figure this out, because they're actually in the front lines, and sometimes it's just good to listen. Sounds good, guys. Well, hey, one last just thing. How can people get a hold of you guys if they're interested in your company? And let's go from there.
Definitely. Our website's the best way, valkeregroup.com, VALKERE group.com. We've got a lot of free content on there. You can reach out. You can join our investor club. You can contact us from there, and we'll have a call.
Sounds good. Check that out, guys. We're going to put that in our description on the Brett Snodgrass YouTube channel on YouTube, so check that out. And we're with Chris and Ashton Levarek. And guys, before we end the show, I always end with a little fun. So this is called Bros Before Business. play on words. So I got a couple of questions. These are super short answers, typically less than a minute, and we'll go from there. So Ashton, I'm going to ask you guys questions about your brother. So Ashton, what kind of annoys you about Chris?
Oh boy.
Bang to boom. I like to use that term from the military. So that's typically the time from the missile leaves the plane to hits the ground. So when I plant a new idea, because I'm a big visionary, like we need to do this, how fast can we implement it? And so Chris likes a lot more of the details, which I definitely appreciate. That's part of it, right? Like I need that because I don't think of everything. I just want to get there now, which would probably kill us if we tried to do that right, but so sometimes that can be kind of frustrating is how fast, we implement an idea or execute on an idea.
It's probably it's frustrating at the moment, but then maybe a week later, you're like, okay, that was probably a good idea.
Yeah.
When things settle down, because you get obsessed with your ideas. So, all right, Chris, same question. Anything annoy you about Ashton?
Yes. No, I mean, for a lot of me, we'll put together training, we'll put together structures, and Ashton will just do whatever. And that's probably, so it might take a couple times to get the message across, to use some tool a certain way, or this is our process, or this is what we're doing. So that can be frustrating.
So you put these processes in place, but Ashton, he doesn't follow that. He just does what he wants.
He made a whole Loom video on how to use our last CRM. And I got like 2 minutes into it and I was like, I can't watch this.
That's funny. Oh man. Implementer visionary. All right, Chris, if you were to give Ashton $1,000, what would he spend it on?
Outdoor gear.
Cool.
Climbing gear.
Sounds good.
Hiking. Yeah.
All right, Ashton, same question. Give Chris $1,000. What does he spend it on?
Ooh, I don't know. Maybe music stuff or his family. I know him and his wife, they go out on dates, every once a week or once a month, I think. Or maybe some piece of electronic or tech. Although I know he's big into investing in other stuff too right now as well. So nice. I think he just made 20% on some Bitcoin or some crypto last night, right?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Congrats. That's awesome.
Thank you.
All right, last question. Let's just go a little bit lighter. So, Chris, what is something you admire about your brother?
Just someone to look up to. He's definitely lives by his own values that, he exemplifies them. So, always, I think I look up to his health and his wisdom. He makes sure that I always have to be working out to catch up.
It's good. It's good to be healthy. Without your health, you don't have much. All
Thanks,
right.
man.
Yep. Ashton, same question. What do you admire about Chris?
I admire his attention to detail. Yeah. I could not do half of this stuff in the business without him. I'd be all over the place. I'd be lost. So, man, if we could take 30 minutes, maybe even an hour, maybe it'd take an all day, but he has mapped out, he's made so many automations in our business. So things just happen automatically. That has taken so much off our shoulders, both mine and his. And I admire that because half the time, I don't even know. He's like, go do this. I was like, I don't know what that is, whatever. And then, so absolutely attention to detail and his ability to automate and put the systems in place to make everything easier.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, thank you guys for joining us on the Brett Snodgrass podcast today. That ends our show. That ends Bros Before Business. You guys are awesome. Wish you guys so much success in your business and in life. And make sure you guys check out the website, which again is go ahead and say that again, Chris.
ValkereGroup.com.
All right, so check that out, guys. We're going to put that in our show notes on the Brett Snodgrass channel on YouTube. And it's a wrap with Chris and Ashton Levarek. Thank you guys so much. You guys are awesome.
Thanks for having us, man.
Thank you so much for checking out the Brett Snodgrass channel. If you like this video, please slam on that like button. And if you really like it, then subscribe to our channel here. And remember to leave us a comment below, and I'm going to try my hardest to reply to all the comments. Thank you guys so much. This is why I do what I do. Every single week, I come out with content that focuses on success, freedom, and living out your purpose. Thank you guys so much. See you next time.